Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast, the show where we follow the will of the D chapter by chapter.
Today, we are officially setting foot on the burning sands with chapter 155, Sir Crocodile, the Pirate.
And what an entrance. We finally see him, the man behind the curtain, the warlord pulling the strings of Baroque Works, and he's a national hero?
He's standing in the middle of a city beloved by the people, being personally thanked by the king. This is not the villain introduction I think anyone was expecting.
It's so much better. This is the kind of complex, long game setup that makes this series untouchable. If you want to be here with us for every step of this massive arc, make sure you're following the show. Don't get lost in the desert like a fool.
Oh, wise precaution. The story is only going to get more tangled from here.
Alright, let's dive in. The chapter opens in Nanohana, a port town in Alabasta, and there's a panic. Some pirates are causing a scene, a classic bit of small fry arrogance.
They're called the Papu Pirates, which doesn't exactly scream threat to the Grand Line. But to the average citizen, a pirate is a pirate. There's fear, there's chaos, it's a textbook scene of disorder.
And that's exactly what it's there for. It's the perfect backdrop. The story's setting up a problem so it can immediately introduce the supposed solution. And what a solution! Through the panicking crowd, this one figure just emerges. He's not rushing, he's not worried, he just walks.
The design is immediately iconic. He's incredibly tall, draped in this huge, luxurious fur coat, which seems utterly impractical for a desert climate, but speaks volumes about his status and disregard for convention. He's smoking a thick cigar, has his hair slicked back, and then you see the details. The long, stitched scar running horizontally across his entire face, bridging his nose. It's brutal. It tells a story of a fight he survived, or perhaps a warning he gives.
And the hook. You can't miss the giant, shining golden hook where his left hand should be. It's so ostentatious. It's not just a weapon, it's a statement piece. It's part of the brand. This guy isn't just a villain, he's a performer. He has an image to maintain.
And what's truly masterful is the crowd's reaction. They see this imposing, scarred man with a weapon for a hand, a man who radiates menace. And they don't scream, they don't run, they part for him, and then they start to cheer.
Yeah, they're chanting Sir Crocodile. They're calling him a hero. The Papu pirate captain is just as confused as we, the first-time readers, are. He's looking at this guy, recognizing him as one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and he can't square the circle. Aren't you a pirate too? It's a legitimate question.
Crocodile's response is the thesis statement for his entire public persona. He says the government gave him the title of warlord. As long as he uses that power to hunt other pirates, he's a legal pirate. He's framed it perfectly. He's not one of them, the lawless thugs. He's one of us, the protectors, just with a government-sanctioned license to be a predator.
It's genius. It's like he found a cheat code for society. He's using the world's fear of pirates to build himself up as a savior while being the worst pirate of them all. The logic is so twisted and self-serving, but to a populace desperate for security, it sounds like salvation. He's weaponized legitimacy.
It's a masterclass in public relations and control. He's not ruling through fear, at least not publicly. He's ruling through adoration. He's manufactured consent. The people believe he is their shield, so they willingly give him their trust and power. It's far more insidious and stable than simply being a tyrant.
And we get the demonstration. The Papu pirate captain, still not getting it, tries to attack him. He swings his sword right at Crocodile's neck, and Crocodile doesn't even move his feet. He doesn't flinch. He just calmly raises his right hand.
And the art here is fantastic. You see his hand just dissolve. It turns into a cascade of flowing sand, completely enveloping the pirate's arm swing. There's no impact. The attack is just nullified.
A Logia, it has to be. We've seen smokers smoke fruit, and we just met Ace's and his flame fruit. This feels like the same class of untouchable power, but this one feels different. It's not just elemental, it's like hungry.
Exactly. He grabs the man's arm with his sand hand, and we see this grotesque, horrifying effect. All the moisture is just sucked out of the pirate's body. You see him deflate, shrivel, and turn into this desiccated, mummy-like husk before he hits the ground. It's not a knockout. It's not a killing blow. It's a complete and utter draining of life.
It's awful and so perfect for him. Sucking the life out of someone is exactly what he's doing to the entire country, just on a micro scale. The story's showing us his entire villainous philosophy in a single move, and I have to assume his fruit is something like the Suna no Mi, the sand fruit, a logia that grants control over sand in a desert kingdom.
It's terrifyingly perfect. It's the ultimate strategic advantage. Smoker is powerful in Logetown, but he could be anywhere. Crocodile has chosen a power that makes him a literal god in his chosen environment. He can become the ground beneath your feet, the storm in the air. The very substance of the nation is his weapon.
And he proves it immediately. He doesn't even bother with the rest of the crew. He just says desert spada, desert sword, and a blade of sand rips through the ground. Then, with a flick of his wrist, he summons a miniature sandstorm that envelops the rest of the pirates and sends them flying. It's effortless. He dispatched an entire crew without breaking a sweat, and he did it in a way that looked like a miracle to the townspeople.
He didn't just defeat them. He cleansed the town of their presence using the power of the desert itself. To the onlookers, he is commanding the very land to protect them.
And the crowd goes wild. They're chanting his name, Sir Crocodile, Sir Crocodile. It's absolutely brilliant from a villain standpoint. The author could have made him a monster lurking in a dark, spooky castle, waiting in the final room of the dungeon, but instead he's a beloved savior walking in the broad daylight, praised by the very people he's slowly killing. How do you even begin to fight that?
You can't, not directly. And just when you think the irony can't get any thicker, the situation is compounded. A royal entourage arrives, and stepping out is King Nefertari Cobra, Vivi's father. He walks directly up to Crocodile and personally, formally thanks him for his service to the country.
The king himself, the man whose family has ruled Alabasta for centuries, is shaking hands with the man actively engineering its destruction. It's so tragic. Cobra looks like a good man. He looks tired, weighed down by the suffering of his people, and he's genuinely grateful to this warlord who seems to be his only effective ally.
It's a chilling, devastating scene. As an audience, we're screaming internally. The serpent is not just in the garden. The king is thanking it for its beautiful scales. Cobra is completely and utterly outmaneuvered. A pawn in a game he doesn't even know he's playing. The sheer audacity of Crocodile to stand there and accept the king's gratitude with that cold, unreadable expression. It speaks to a level of psychopathy we haven't really seen before.
Arlong was a monster, but he was open about it. He hated humans, and he made sure they knew it. Don Krieg was an arrogant blowhard. Buggy's a clown. Crocodile is playing 4D chess. He's a political mastermind, a master of propaganda, and he has a terrifyingly powerful devil fruit to back it all up.
He's a complete villain package. And then, as if to put a stamp on all of this, we get his title card, Sir Crocodile, President of Baroque Works, former bounty 81 million berry.
Which is interesting, right? Because my memory isn't perfect, but I'm pretty sure back on Whiskey Peak, Igaram was briefing the crew and he said Crocodile's bounty was 80 million flat before it was frozen.
My memory is quite reliable, Franky, and you are correct. Igaram explicitly stated 80 million. Now we see a title card right here in the chapter that says 81 million.
So what gives? Is it just a mistake, a minor detail that was changed between chapters? That's the simple answer. It happens.
It is the simple answer, but I find myself reluctant to accept simple answers when dealing with a man like Crocodile. Consider the possibilities. What if the 80 million figure was the one Baroque Works wanted people to know? A slightly deflated number, perhaps. Or, more likely, what if Igaram, the king's most loyal man, was working with deliberately flawed intelligence?
Oh, that's nasty. So Crocodile could be controlling the flow of information so well that even the royal guard has bad intel. They're off by 1 million, which seems small, but it proves their information network is compromised.
Precisely. In a game of espionage and deception this deep, a single piece of misinformation can be a weapon. It makes you question everything. What else does the Alabastan government think they know that is actually alive fed to them by Crocodile? It subtly reinforces just how far ahead of them he is. So we now know more than the king's own intelligence network.
It makes you question every single fact you're given from here on out. Who do you trust when the villain is this good at controlling the narrative? Even basic data points are suddenly up in the air. It's not about what's true, it's about what Crocodile wants you to believe is true.
Exactly. This isn't just a physical threat, it's an intelligence threat, a psychological one. The scene then cuts back to the Going Merry, and it's like the chapter read our minds. Vivi is explaining this exact impossible situation to the Straw Hats. She lays it all out. The hero of the people, the man her father trusts, is the source of all their suffering. And Usopp, bless his heart, serves his role as the audience surrogate perfectly. He asks the most logical question in the world. Why can't we just tell everyone? Tell the king, tell the people what Crocodile is doing.
It's what any of us would ask. Just expose him. And Vivi just shuts it down with cold, hard reality. Who would believe them? Think about it. On one side, you have Sir Crocodile, a government-sanctioned warlord, a celebrated national hero, a man personally endorsed by the king who is seen in public effortlessly defeating pirates.
And on the other side? A tiny, unknown pirate crew with a piddling total bounty, led by a boy in a straw hat, and a princess who has been missing for 2 years, presumed by some to have abandoned her kingdom. Who are you going to believe?
They'd be laughed out of the city, or worse, they'd be arrested and branded as conspirators, agents of some rival nation trying to slander Alabasta's hero to destabilize the country. Crocodile wouldn't even have to lift a finger. The people would turn on them for him.
He's inoculated himself against the truth. It's the ultimate defense. By building a legend, he has made reality irrelevant.
So they're stuck. They have an impossible 2-part mission. Step 1, get to the heart of the rebellion in Yuba and stop them. The people are on the brink of a full-scale civil war, blaming the king for the drought that Crocodile secretly caused with his dance powder conspiracy. They have to stop that fire from spreading before it consumes the country.
And step 2, which must be done simultaneously, find and defeat Crocodile and the entirety of Baroque Works. Because if they only stop the rebellion, Crocodile, with his power and influence intact, will just start another fire somewhere else. His plan will be delayed, not stopped.
But if they only defeat Crocodile and the rebellion is already in full swing, the country might still tear itself apart from the inside. The rage and mistrust have been building for years. Taking out the catalyst might not be enough to stop the chemical reaction that's already started.
They have to perform surgery on 2 different patients at the exact same time, with one set of hands. It is, by any rational measure, an impossible task.
I love seeing the crew's reaction to this briefing. It tells you everything you need to know about them. Sanji, hearing Vivi's plight, just gets this deadly serious look and says, "That settles it," and lights a cigarette. He's in, no questions asked. Zoro's just sitting there, arms crossed, smirking. He hears impossibly strong bad guys, and that's all the motivation he needs.
And then there's Luffy. He's been sitting there listening to this incredibly complex explanation of socio-political strife, propaganda, civil war, and espionage, and he processes all of it, and his only question is, so if I just kick this crocodile guy's ass, will everything go back to normal?
That's our captain. He just slices right through the Gordian knot. He doesn't care about the politics, the strategy, the impossibility. All he heard was, "My friend is sad. There is a bad guy making her sad. I will go punch the bad guy until she is not sad anymore." It is the purest, most simple distillation of the problem.
It's a beautiful, terrifying simplicity. Vivi is trying to navigate this intricate web, this game of chess where she is hopelessly outmatched. And Luffy's plan is to just flip the entire board over, scatter the pieces, and punch the other player in the face.
And you know what? In a world like One Piece, sometimes that's the only strategy that works. You need someone who isn't bogged down by the impossibility of it all. The world presents Luffy with a set of rules, and he just refuses to play by them. He operates on a different axis. How can you outmaneuver someone who refuses to be on the game board with you?
It's the perfect dynamic for this arc. Vivi provides the context, the knowledge, the emotional stakes, and the strategic direction, but the Straw Hats provide the raw, unstoppable force and the unwavering, simplistic loyalty to see it through. She is the mind, they are the sword.
So Usopp, still trying to wrap his head around the sheer scale of this, asks the big question. How does this whole Baroque Works thing even work? He wants the full breakdown, the org chart.
And Vivi obliges, giving us one of the clearest explanations of an enemy organization we've gotten so far. She draws it out. At the very top, the shadowy president, the boss, Mr. Zero, who we, and now the crew, know as Crocodile.
Directly under him, his partner is Miss All Sunday. Wait a minute.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, Franky. That is a mystery for another day.
Right. Below the president and his partner are the officer agents, 13 of them, the elite of the elite. They operate in male-female pairs numbered from Mr. 1 down to Mr. 5, and then there are a few uniquely coded agents like Mr. 2 and Mr. 3.
We've already met Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine on Whiskey Peak and had a brief encounter on Little Garden. We defeated Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week on Little Garden, so we have a sense of their power level. The female agents' code names are all based on holidays or special days. Miss Valentine's Day, Miss Golden Week, a major holiday week in Japan, Miss Doublefinger, and Vivi explains that refers to January 2nd, which I believe is a day for calligraphy. It's a system.
It's so cool. It feels like a video game. It's like the story is literally giving us the boss list. Here are the enemies you have to defeat to get to the final boss. We've taken out Mr. 5 and Mr. 3. That means Mr. 1, Mr. 2, and Mr. 4, plus all of their partners, are still out there, and presumably much stronger. It sets up a clear progression of threats.
The sheer scale of it is impressive, and that's just the leadership. Below the officer agents are the billions, who are the personal subordinates of the officers, and the millions who work under the frontier agents, like the ones we saw at Whiskey Peak. All told, Vivi estimates the organization has 2,000 members.
2,000! The Straw Hats are a crew of, 5 people right now? They're not just going up against a warlord, they're going up against a private, clandestine army led by a cadre of elite, superpowered assassins. This is insane.
And the structure is so cold and corporate. It's not a pirate crew in the traditional sense. There's no camaraderie implied, no shared dream or flag. It's a company, a corporation of crime. The code names, the rigid hierarchy, the numbered agents, it's all designed for anonymity, plausible deniability, and ruthless efficiency.
Exactly. The lower ranks, the billions and millions, they just get orders. They have no idea who Mr. Zero is. Only the officer agents are allowed to know the boss's true identity. It's the perfect cellular structure for a secret conspiracy. If you capture a foot soldier, they can't give up the leader because they don't know who he is.
It's a network designed to protect the man at the center at all costs, which brings Vivi to the final, chilling piece of the puzzle, the culmination of everything she's learned.
She believes Crocodile is about to initiate the final phase of his plan to take over Alabasta. She calls it Operation Utopia, and a plan that big, that final, can't be executed by fodder. He needs his strongest, most reliable pieces on the board.
Which means, logically, all of the remaining undefeated officer agents, the powerful Mr. 1, the mysterious Mr. 2, the unknown Mr. 4, and all of their partners have to be in Alabasta right now. They are being summoned.
They're all gathering. The entire senior management of Baroque Works, the strongest fighters in this 2,000-person army, are all descending on this one island to finish the job.
The Straw Hats haven't just stumbled into the villain's territory. They have sailed directly into the enemy's headquarters at the exact moment the final phase of their master plan is about to begin.
What a way to kick off an arc. Holy cow. The stakes are crystal clear. The villain is established as both a physical and political powerhouse, and the enemy forces are all converging on their location. It's a pressure cooker, and the story just slammed the lid on and cranked the heat to max.
There's no turning back now. There is no escape route. They are in it whether they like it or not.
I absolutely love it. We also got the author's comment this week. He just wrote, "Whoa, Karelin," in all caps with a bunch of exclamation points.
Alexander Karelin, the Russian super heavyweight Greco-Roman wrestler, he was an absolute monster in the 90s and early 2000s. A 3-time Olympic gold medalist, undefeated for 13 years straight at one point. He was legendary for his raw strength and a signature move called the Karelin lift, where he would lift his opponents, who were also massive human beings, off the mat and slam them. A feat most thought was impossible in that weight class.
So it's just a shout out to a real-world titan of strength he admires. I love getting these little glimpses into what the author is watching or thinking about. It's such a fun, humanizing little moment of levity before we dive head first into what is shaping up to be one of the biggest, most complex arcs in the entire series.
It feels like the calm before the storm, a very, very big Sam-storm.
Absolutely. This chapter did so much heavy lifting in setting the stage. We see the villain's public face and understand his political power. We see his terrifying devil fruit ability. We get the full breakdown of the enemy organization, from its corporate structure to its sheer numbers. And we learn that the entire leadership of the enemy organization is about to be in one place at one time.
It's a masterclass in establishing stakes. It elevates the conflict beyond a simple pirate brawl. We're not just fighting for a princess's happiness anymore. We're fighting for the soul of a nation that doesn't even know it's in danger from its own savior.
I'm already trying to map out the fights in my head. The chapter gave us a numbered list. It's an invitation to speculate. We know Zoro's whole thing is wanting to become the world's greatest swordsman, which means he always wants to fight the strongest opponent he can. So you have to think he's got his eye on Mr. One.
It seems like a logical assumption. A numbered hierarchy practically invites that kind of speculation. Zoro versus the number one subordinate of the main villain. It has a certain narrative poetry to it.
So what about the others? Sanji probably gets the next strongest, Mr. Two. What about the rest of the crew? Are Nami and Usopp going to have to take on officer agents? What kind of powers do they even have? Miss Doublefinger? Mr. Four? The names are so evocative.
It's an exciting puzzle, and we have no information yet, which makes the speculation all the more enjoyable. A blank canvas for our theories.
I'm curious what you all listening think. Who are the dream matchups for the rest of the officer agents? Who does Sanji fight? What about Nami and Usopp? Drop your theories for us in the comments on our social media. We'd love to see what you're cooking up.
All right, let's move on to predictions. Franky, what do you think we're getting in chapter 156?
Okay, prediction 1. We're going to get our first glimpse of another officer agent. I'm thinking Mr. 2. Not a full-on fight, but we'll see one of them in another city in Alabasta, maybe getting their orders or causing some subtle trouble. Just a short scene to show the audience that Vivi is right. The pieces are moving on the board, and they are closing in.
I like that. Reinforce the threat. Make it tangible. Show, don't just tell.
Exactly. Prediction 2, the crew is going to pick a landing spot, and it's going to be Nanohana, the port town where we just saw Crocodile perform his little hero act. They'll decide to go there to gather information, maybe get supplies, and it'll create this immediate, delicious tension of them being in the exact same place as the main villain right off the bat. Maybe they'll even pass him on the street without realizing it.
A close call to start things off. That feels very plausible and would be an effective way to maintain the pressure. My turn.
Go for it.
Prediction 1. We're going to meet the leader of the rebellion. We've heard all about the Civil War, but so far it's been an abstract concept. I think the story will take us to the other side of the conflict. We'll see the rebel army, and we will be introduced to the man leading the charge against the king. This will allow us to understand what kind of person Crocodile is manipulating, and it will humanize the opposition so they aren't just a faceless mob.
Oh, that's really good. Put a face to the other side of the conflict. Because right now, it's easy to just see them as the people who are wrong, but they're victims too. I like that a lot.
And prediction 2, we will get our first concrete clue about what Operation Utopia actually is. Vivi said it's a plan to take over the country, but that's a broad goal. I believe we will overhear a conversation, or one of the Straw Hats will find a piece of information that hints at the specific mechanism of this takeover. Is it a military coup? A public assassination of the king? Is it related to the country's history? we will get the first thread of that central mystery.
So we learn more about the rebels and more about the villain's plan. Man, that would be a dense, lore-heavy chapter. I'd be so here for that. Okay, there you have it. Our breakdown and predictions for the explosive start of the Alabasta arc proper.
The pieces are on the board. The sand is shifting. The game is about to begin.
And we'll be here to cover every move. Thanks for tuning in to Inherited Dawn. We'll see you next week for chapter 156. Don't let Crocodile dry you out.